Hello and welcome to the magic of fishing. Today you join me on an absolute scorcher, and I've sought shade under the boughs of some big willow trees that are growing along the banks of the Hampshire Avon. I'm back on a beautiful private stretch that I've recently been granted access to, and you may have seen a previous video where I had a fantastic first day on here. That was yesterday as I filmed this, so today is just my second day on this marvellous piece of chalk stream. And if you've seen that video, you'll know that I caught some lovely chub, some grayling, some trout, all kinds of different species, and spent the afternoon trotting, wading into the river and trotting afloat down to where I could find the fish. Today I'm going to try something a bit different. I'm going to aim for one of the better fish, be it a chub or a barbel. I have been warned by the very helpful bailiff that they're not easy to find, the barbel, on this stretch, but they're worth pursuing. Some lovely fish in here, and I've already seen what the chub look like in here. They're just a really pretty fish with this crystal clear water. But it is red hot, 25 degrees in the shade, never mind in the sun. So I have sought shelter, and it's while I've been spending a bit of time under these trees that I've spotted a shoal of small chub that have been willing to start feeding on a trickle of maggots I've been feeding them. The last few maggots I've got left from yesterday's session. So very patiently for the last half hour or even hour I've been feeding them up with a few white maggots, and now I think it's time to drop a float in and see whether I can actually fool one of them. It's funny, but with this stifling heat there's very little breeze, and with so much bank to explore, and I would think because of all the fish I caught yesterday, I've really not been in a hurry to fish today. It's been more about getting a feel for the place, getting some shade, and yeah, watching these chub for a while. And I've no idea whether they're going to be catchable or not, but I've gone for fairly robust float gear, an Avon rod, 1.25 pound test curve, some strong main line, and a 6 pound bottom, a couple of maggots, which is, it's way overgunned for small chub, but it's like a jungle. And you never know, there could be a better fish down there. So it's going to be a very short trot through, and we'll have to see whether I can extract one, or indeed avoid entangled in the tree. Just about, I'm guessing the depth at about 4 foot, but they're coming up and taking the maggots loose. Not high up in the water, but just a little patch of sun on the water that I've been able to see them through with my polarised glasses on. I can see them still taking 1 or 2 maggots now, so let's see if we can get one of these little fish out. Really is childhood style fishing, very simple, very visual, and I probably just get a quick trot down to there's a little pull, probably just a little trot down to the, we've got one. Whoa. I'm not sure that is a chub, it could be a trout. Whoa, it's going for the only snag there. Whoa, I was lucky I had some strong gear on. I've also got a very big net when I attempt to catch a barbel later. Bit overkill for this, but what is he? Oh, a trout, as suspected. Been an exciting start. There we go. Nice fish. Just wet my hands on the net. came out in the net. Only a small size 16. But instant bite, instant success. Let's have a look. There we go. Little spotted beauty. Get them straight back with the net. Can often be the way. If there's trout in a swim and you're feeding maggots, they are the quickest to react and beat those small chub that I've been patiently feeding and watching. But it's a fish, first cast, and sometimes it's nice just to take in a place, watch your quarry before making that first cast. Now, I've got to say, I'd be quite surprised if I can get the attention of those chub again. They're not big, ultra wary ones, maybe half a pound at most, but we'll give it a go. And we can always try another spot in a while. I'm just going to feed, loose feed again for a little while. This is the very simple chubber or missile style float, 4 gram, and that's just down to a 4 gram Olivet, usual quick link swivel, and then a fairly long hook length down to a size 16 single maggot. That simple. Start it a little upstream so that everything's in place and settles. It comes down in front of me. That's going down past the drooping willow frond. It's going into the water. If anything, I'd expect the fish might have dropped back a little bit. It's a very short trot. I've already lost sight of the float. Might be that it was a one-hit wonder, but we'll give it a few trots. It really feels like one of those lazy summer days where I can't be in a rush to do anything, or I'm just going to get very hot and bothered. And it's just a magic place to be. It's quintessentially British countryside, farmland, rolling hills. The odd prop plane like the one I can hear at the moment going over, but otherwise completely quiet and free of man-made noise. Fantastic wildlife. Lots of birds, insects. I've never seen so many dragonflies and damselflies. They're everywhere. Classic chalk stream invertebrates. And again, what a privilege to be allowed to fish here. I'm sorry I can't explain more about where I am, but they've very kindly given me permission to film here, so long as I don't discuss the location. And you know that I'm always normally very willing to help suggest new places on day tickets or club waters, so forgive me for doing 1 or 2 videos in this fishing paradise with no location. And I think we can safely move on. It's been fun trying. Well, mad dogs and Englishmen, this next spot has got me out in the full mid-afternoon heat, or rather the sun. But it's a stunning little pool. Lots of oxygenated water coming in from the main river above. And I felt like I couldn't leave this area without a little bit of Tom Sawyer style fishing off this wooden bridge. Hopefully very sturdy wooden bridge. It looks like it's got some age to it. I've no idea if this pool might contain loads of fish or no fish at all. Certainly a lot of boily, powerful current, and it helps if your bait's not around the top of your float. Amazing how even simple rigs can get in a tangle. But yeah, I've no idea whether it might be full of fish or barren, but it's just an intriguing river, and you have to drop in a few different places and give them a whirl, and hopefully later I will pick one or two spots, put some bait in, some pellet, some hemp, and try with a bigger bait like a boilie or some meat and sit it out, maybe hoping for one biggie as the light levels and the heat drop. So until then, I'm just keeping myself entertained, trying lots of different spots with the remaining maggots I've got. We've got one. It's not a big fish, but right at the tail of the pool on 3 maggots. And I'll take that while the maggots are still alive and not completely cooked to death. What have we got? Lovely little grayling. I'm just hooked in the corner. Back she goes. Lovely to see the float shoot under. I feel like I'm on holiday. Well, I am. Not working. It could be abroad, it's so hot. Little dip there perhaps. That's why you need a big, heavy, robust float to have any kind of control this far down the river at distance. In fact, I had no control there because I had a big bow in the line. Let's try again. It's not like using a nice long and responsive float rod, I must say, but it's still fun. Just have to hold it back and let it go down very gently. And there's another, again right at the tail end of the pool. And this looks more like perch bait, but they're all welcome on the magic of fishing, as you know. And that is a baby version of what I was after earlier. Little chublet. Steady on. Straight back. Enjoying this. Can't tell you how hot it is. Back under the shade for a drink. Makes you want to jump in the river, but I'm happy fishing it for now. This is my baiting up mix for later this afternoon and evening. Lots of pellet, maize, hemp, quite a stodgy mix, and then a few dumbbell boilies for the hook. Got some meat as well. I must be mad because I'm leaving the shade of these willows and making my way back downstream towards the mill. Still red hot. Late afternoon. But I want to find some spots, maybe one or two spots, and I'm still not sure whether that will be above or below the mill. I certainly saw the barbel yesterday while I was wading and fishing, but there's some interesting weirs above the mill I'd like to check out. Not a bad looking weir pool this, is it? Might have to give this a go. Got the shade of a giant horse chestnut overhead as well. Oh, I don't want to keep going on about it, but it's sweltering. I'm sweating just sat here, and the sun's just come round past a big pollarded willow that was giving me a bit of shelter, but the sun is back on me now and it really doesn't feel very fishy at all. I'm hoping there's a chance fishing in the oxygenated weir pool. Just trying a little dumbbell boilie, some of the pellet mash in the feeder, but I just bumped into another angler in the car park and we were saying very slow, difficult day just because it's so breathless and bright. Lovely dragonfly just landed on the rod. Not the first, and I'm sure he won't be the last. But yeah, it's one of those difficult days. Fishing anywhere, but particularly a shallow, clear river such as the Avon. So there might be a chance for the last 2 or 3 hours of the day and the sun gets lower, and I'm still to work out where I'm going to spend that time. Perhaps downstream of the mill where it's a bit more shallow, fast-paced and perhaps oxygenated. Or of course, if I get any signs, I'll be quite happy to stay here on this beautiful weir. Absolutely stunning place to sit, even if it is a bit noisy. You can see on the tree opposite just how high the water's capable of getting here in the winter floods. But it's very low and very clear at the moment. And it seems my second day here is going to be a lot tougher than the first. It was just as bright yesterday, but it was a bit later in the day that I started fishing, and there was a bit of a breeze and some cloud cover, but today it's just pure blue. Very, very bright and very hot. Do you know what, folks? Sometimes there's only one thing for it, and I've caved in. Oh, my God, that is good. I've driven 5 minutes from the river to the nearest pub. Going to enjoy one cold pint, get some food from the local shop, and then head back to the river. And then I promise to sit still in one place. I've put some bait in the pool where I saw quite a few chub earlier, and we'll give it a go into dusk. Well folks, this is it. This is go hard or go home, double or quits, all or nothing. I've refreshed myself at the local hostelry, and I've crept down to this striking looking pool with a deadfall on the opposite side, just below a small weir which I believe is called Boulder Weir because of the boulders that have been used to reinforce the sides over the years. And this is the pool where I saw some really big chub, definitely some 5-pounders, maybe even 6-pounders, and plenty of small ones. Cruising around all afternoon, and I tried pinging pellets at them just one at a time, and they weren't interested, and then decided to put a couple of balls of my pellet and hemp and maize mix in before I left to go and get a drink and cool down. So they've had an hour or two to settle, and no doubt me arriving back here with my gear as I put them on high alert again. So now it's really a waiting game. I actually did just have a rattle first cast, and I've decided to go with an old favourite in the end. I've taken off the hair rigged boilie and gone back to good old fashioned spam or luncheon meat. Big cube of it on a size 4 hook. The hook's completely buried, and I just think if I had to catch a chub, especially fishing into the evening, into the dusk in summer, I'd go meat every time. I want a smelly visual bait as it gets darker, but we will see. It's been a really memorable day, hot summer day in June, and it's been a real privilege again to wander the banks of this fantastic fishery. But now I'm going to be sat here for the next 2 or 3 hours until dark. I have to be packing up at 10, and I'm not going to get to bed till midnight tonight, so this is dedication. But it's not a bad place to sit and while away 2 or 3 hours. I'm fishing a simple link ledger with just a couple of swan shot on, and I'm casting upstream of where I am now, letting a bit of a bow form in the line. The idea being that if a chub picks up that meat, it's barely going to feel the shot, and the tip's just going to spring back. Either that, or it's just going to wham straight round if the chub swims in the opposite direction. But any kind of positive bite and a chance at one of these big chub will be welcome as I watch the sun sink lower. It's really exciting, but it's also lovely. Now the intensity of the sun's gone out the day, and I couldn't believe it. It was 27, the car was saying on the way back from the pub, and that was at 7 o'clock. So it really has been hot by June standards, and obviously not ideal for fishing. And the final thing that gives me hope, apart from the falling sun in the sky, is I chatted with a really lovely fellow angler who's got access to this private stretch, nice chap named Bill, and funnily enough he said he was going to fish this spot, and I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I put some bait in there, but you go ahead. And he was a real gent about it. There's 6 miles of river or more to choose from. He was a real gent, and he insisted I take it. And I told him I'd watched the chub earlier swimming around and ignoring the bait, and he said, not surprising on a day like this, but he's fished this a few years, and he said they do sometimes go down over some bait once the sun drops. So you're probably not going to hear too much from me again unless we get some heart-stopping action. Another little pluck there. I think that's just small stuff having a go, but I know there's fish in this pool. I think it's just a question of, will they let their guards down and feed before I have to leave and before it gets dark? We will see. Well folks, it's hard to believe with the amount of remaining light, but it's 10 o'clock, it's time for me to pack up, and unfortunately this won't be one of those magic of fishing sessions that ends with a bang. A sultry summer's day has turned into a sultry summer's night, still t-shirt weather, and that tip has refused to move. I've given it my best shot, 2.5, 3 hours of very quiet, patient waiting, and I'm sure you've been with me every step of the way, so apologies, I just couldn't turn that patience into a fish. But it's still been a very memorable scorcher of a day, and I hope you've enjoyed spending it with me on the banks of the River Avon, one of Britain's finest chalk streams. So stay safe, and I'll be back before long with some more fish action, and I look forward to seeing you again soon on the bank.